guys, my name is Hillary and this is Gluten-Free Galaxy. Really quick, I wanted to, and I say quick because I'm really bad at making these videos fast, but I wanted to jump in really quick and do a cinnamon roll video. I'm actually going to be using the Gluten-Free Galaxy cinnamon roll mix. If you don't know what it is or you don't have it, you can get it at gfgalaxy.com. It's going to come in a bag that looks similar to this, obviously with a label, and I'll have just like instructions on it. Inside of the bag, you will actually get, I've already pre-dumped it in here, but you'll dump this bag of flour mix into your mixing bowl for your stand mixer, or just mixing bowl if you prefer that. I've dumped it all into here. You can see that it's all ready to go. What I like to do with this is I like to put it over onto my stand mixer really quick, and or shake up the bag because I'm kind of weird and paranoid, and I like to make sure the ingredients are really evenly distributed. So I'll actually put the mix on my stand mixer with the whisk attachment, and I will spin it for just like a minute dry, just to get it all kind of, you know, evenly dispersed, I suppose. Inside your bag, you would also have, and or if you have at home, you can use whatever flour mix you want. You would also get a little packet of yeast. You'll get a little packet of yeast. I've poured it in here just so you guys can see it. It's a dry instant yeast. You will also get a packet of, obviously I have a lot of this, so I keep it at home. You'll get a packet of what is like a cinnamon roll filling. So for those of you that don't know, a cinnamon roll filling is basically like your version of like a little bit of oil, cinnamon, sugar, or like a shortening, things like that. We actually have in the flour mix that I bought or have is inside this bag. It comes with the mix, the yeast, and the cinnamon roll filling. So you're going to set your yeast aside, your cinnamon roll filling aside. What I like to do, like I said, is I like to put the mixer with the whisk attachment on, and I just put it on low just for like a minute. Now I've already done this so that it didn't make a bunch of noise while I was talking. So I've already mixed it all up. This particular recipe calls for the 16 ounce of the bread flour, the yeast, and the filling, as well as you need to provide, or me, need to provide 1 1/3 cup of milk. So Gluten-Free Galaxy is gluten, soy, corn, canola, nut, dairy, egg free, and vegan. So I like to use hemp milk. This is the brand of hemp milk that I like to use. I like original, unsweetened. I don't like to add lots of extra sugar to everything, so cinnamon rolls already have sugar. So I like to use the unsweetened if they have it. If you click the link in the video description, I will put my Amazon like shopping list page up so that you guys you don't have to necessarily buy it from there. If you do, that's rad, because I get a tiny little kickback. But if you don't buy it there, at least you can see what it is and what it's got. You can use other regular milks or non-dairy milks in this recipe. Just pay attention to what the dough looks like. You don't want to, for example, I tried it with like a rice milk, and it was too watery of a substance, because you really need some of those fats and proteins in there too. So just pay attention as you're adding it. Now, once you have dry mixed your little mix up together so that it's, I don't know, you probably don't even need to do it because you're going to mix this anyway, but I like to do it because I'm odd. It's fine. So once you've done that, I have my milk on the stove in a pot. So this pot, trying to decide how hot that pan handle is. This actually has, I'm not sure if you can see it, I have water inside the pot, and then I have set my Purex with the hemp milk inside of it, and it has actually been boiling. The water has been boiling for a while now. What I'm trying to do is I am trying to bring up the temp of my liquid to where it will actually activate the yeast once it is put into the mixer. So, let's see if you can see this. Right now, that mixer or excuse me, that liquid is up to, it said 140 when I pulled it out. So yeast, for those of you that don't know, at least the yeast that I'm using in my mix is 120 to 140 is the best temperature to activate it. Okay, cool, so I'll get it to 120, no big deal. Well, the thing is, if your house is cold, mine I actually keep pretty warm, and my mixer is near my oven. That's on purpose. It keeps my mixing bowls pretty warm. Sometimes I'll even take the bowl and I'll put it on top of the stove just to keep it warm. You don't want your bowl hot. But the thing is, if you pour 120 degree exactly milk, water, whatever liquid that is, into a cold bowl, well, the cold bowl is going to drop that temp really fast. And then your stuff is going to rise, and you're going to be like, well, what the heck? I did everything right. Why didn't Hillary tell me this was going to happen? So anyway, I actually like to bring my temp of my liquid up closer to 140, 135. That is my personal preference. Again, just remember the dough temp. Not the temp of the water when you put it in the bowl, but the temp of the dough when the yeast is in it needs to be 120 to 140 typically to activate that yeast. Now, before I dump this in really quick and spin it, 'cause it's going to get a little noisy, I actually have my little mat over here. This is the mat I like to roll on, and this is the rolling pin I like to use. It's actually like a really cool, like marbly rolling pin. Again, I'll try and link as much of the stuff as I have here into my like Amazon shopping page in the description below. That way you can at least see what I'm using or what I prefer. Now I also have, like I said, my filling, and then I have a little bit of grapeseed oil. I like grapeseed oil. If you have a different oil that you prefer, go to town. We don't use canola, so grapeseed is a really nice neutral flavor oil. That's not going to add like a bunch of, oh my gosh, what's that weird flavor? But it also can go really high temp. So I keep mine in these little bottles. This is actually going to go onto my little mat, and I say a little bit of this. So I just put like a little dab right there, and I will show you in just a minute, but I like to obviously wash your hands, be clean. I like to take clean hands, and I will actually take my hand and I will spread it out on the mat, and I will get it on my hands because I'm going to use my hands to press out the dough once it's ready. And I'll show you that once I do it. So really quick right now, what I'm going to do is I have my actual flour mix or blend mix that I've dumped out of my bag. I have it in my mixing bowl. I've spun it dry with the whisk attachment. And now I am switching over to my paddle attachment. Now you could do this all in a regular bowl with like a hand mixer or like, I mean if you're really buff, like a whisk, you can do that. I like to use the stand mixer. I bake obviously a lot of things. That's why I have multiple. And then I have a couple at the shop too. So I switched over to the paddle. The dry blend is in there. What I'm going to do now, because my milk is at temp, it's actually at about 142, 143, so I'm going to take my oven mitt because, hey, if this has been boiling in hot water, it's going to be hot, guys. Don't hurt yourselves, okay? So I've taken it out. Gonna let it set there. I'm gonna keep my oven mitt on because that is still gonna be hot in a second. I'm gonna grab my yeast, and I'm telling you all this now because the mixer might be a little loud. So I'm going to turn the mixing bowl on to the lowest setting. And then I am going to both pour in the yeast and pour in my liquid or my milk at the same time, okay? Once that is combined, I am then going to turn the speed up to about, like on my mixer, it's I think a 6 or 7. Some of them go higher than others, basically medium high or high. And we're gonna let it spin for a minute. You can let it spin a little longer than that if you want, but I'm gonna let it spin for about a minute, okay? So I'm gonna show you that now. So mixer down. Lowest setting to temp liquid is ready. I'm going to pour the yeast in. and the liquid in at the same time, okay? I like to put the lip of my pour, I like to put it directly on the bowl, and I like to pour it in slow. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, the yeast is in. And my liquid is in. Set that off to the side. It is now pretty well combined. It's in there, right? So I'm going to lock my mixer. This might get wild. And I'm going to turn it all the way up to about, mine goes like 6, 8, 10. So I'm going to go right in between 6 and 8, maybe an 8, okay? For 1 minute. You're going to see the dough kind of like, it's a little bit tacky, and it's going to kind of still tack and then move, tack and then move. And then it's going to start to combine more and more and more. And then it will really start to look a lot more like a dough, went a little bit further into the mixing process. So keep an eye on it. You can actually smell the yeast, and you can kind of feel the heat on the bowl. Again, the reason you watch your temp is because you're putting hot liquid into a cold bowl, and then you're spinning it. So you are going to reduce the temperature that is actually brought to the table, essentially, in that hot liquid. So make sure to pay attention to the temp. I cannot stress that enough. In this time, you can preheat your oven if you like, or you can do it at the beginning, whatever you prefer. I actually really like to keep, I have a pie tin. I'm not sure if you guys can see it or not, but I have a pie tin in my oven. The pie tin in my oven actually has water in it. I like, because everything I make is gluten-free, and tends, gluten-free is dry. Well, not mine, but I like to actually make sure that there's water in that tin, because it creates steam within the oven, and then it, you turn out with a better product. So all that being said, I'm going to check on the dough really quick. Oh yes, it looks great. Okay. For the sake of moving things along, I'm going to show you, okay? So this, see how the dough is kind of together now? You can actually spin it for just a little bit longer, but I kind of know how to work with this, so we're going to show you. I like to keep the videos as fast as possible. I told you that. I have my little doodad. Sorry, I'm really bad with descriptive terms. It's a weird ass-me thing. I always call things thingamajigs, or whatchamacallits. My dad, he laughs at me. And my staff probably thinks I'm nuts, but that's okay. I'm going to take the dough and I'm going to scrape it down off of the sides, okay? Okay, I'm a perfectionist, and this would drive me nuts normally, but we're just going to set it to the side. So I'm then going to take, and I actually like to, so like the spatula is curved like this way. I actually like to invert it when I do this, and I'm going to push down my dough off of the sides, and then get it all put together. So, can you guys see it? It's all kind of nice and together. It's in its own little ball. Dough can be sticky, so be aware of that. That's why we use a little bit of oil when we go to roll it up. See, it's just a little bit sticky. Now, again, you have a choice. Totally up to you. At this point, you can put this, or in this bowl, cover it with some plastic wrap, and you can throw it in the refrigerator and let it kind of just do its awesome rising thing in there. Essentially proof itself. I, again, for the sake of the video, am just going to go ahead and move to the next step. It is up to you. The longer you proof things and the more time you take with them, the more the flavor is going to come through, the better they're going to taste, things like that. Just don't kill it. So putting yeast into the fridge or freezer is going to basically stunt its growth and allow you, it'll buy you more time essentially. Okay, So now we have our oil that we've poured onto our mat. I'm simply just going to rub it around. Again, both hands. I'm going to take my dough and I'm going to plop it out onto my little mat. Again, I don't like to waste, so the more you get out of your little bowl, the more cinnamon rolls you get. Okay, so I'm going to take the last little bit here and I'm going to put it out onto my mat. Now, if you chose the option where you did cover the dough and refrigerate it for 20-30 minutes, whatever you'd like, the dough is going to be a little bit more put together and a little bit less sticky. So just be aware of that. If you're having a hard time working with it, maybe pause, put it in the bowl, cover it up, and just take a minute, okay? Now, just one sec, I'm going to pause you so I can get you closer to the dough, okay? Okay, our hands are oily. We are over the dough. And I'm just going to kind of roll it around like this a little bit, kind of get it together. Remember, if you did refrigerate it, it's going to be a little bit of a different dough. There's Freya. Hi, Frey. She's going to want to know what I'm making. Okay, my hands are still oily. See how oily they are? I'm going to kind of oil down my rolling pin a little bit. And then I do not push. Don't push and roll. I'm simply going to set it down gently and roll forward and then kind of roll it back. Pro tip, with any gluten-free dough, or at least any gluten-free Galaxy mixer dough, if you begin to get dough on the actual rolling pin, that dough will just stick to the other dough and then poof, mess, okay? So, and then I like to roll it this way. Basically what we're going for is a nice rectangle. So what I mean by that is I personally, cinnamon rolls at this point, your shape is your shape, okay? For you guys, and to show you the 4, because my other baking items, they're kind of odd for a 4-pack. So I either have really small ones because I live by myself, or I have really big ones, okay? So I'm going to put 4 cinnamon rolls into here just to kind of show you guys. And these are actually baking containers. They're commercial ones and I don't like to waste, so I had them, so I'm going to use them. I have them close by because you really want to make sure everything is around you. But I like my actual roll to be longer and then it is tall. Does that make sense? Because you're gonna roll it up, and for me, I'm gonna slice them, right? Now, if you were gonna go for like cinnamon roll minis, like little tiny guys, you would really wanna roll it out super long, right? Because then as you roll it up, it gets thicker. If you just wanted to make like 2 ginormous ones, you'd wanna keep it like this. Okay, my camera is harassing me, so we're gonna switch over the phone really quick. So I have rolled it out. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take, at least in the flour mix that I'm using, you're going to get a portioned amount of cinnamon roll filling. That is up to you. Because it is sugar, I don't typically put like a ton of it on there, but you're going to take it and you're going to kind of like, I have one hand right now, sorry. So you're going to like spread it. Don't push down too hard or it's all going to end up in one clumpy spot. But you can lightly kind of roll your hand over it and bring it all the way to the outside because you want your yummy middle to be good, right? All the way up to the top. Don't let Freya, the little German Shepherd's sneaky dog, eat it. Okay. Make it look as pretty as you would like it to. See, I pushed too hard right there, so then it caught. But I think y'all kind of get the gist. Once it is done, you are then going to roll it up. I like to start, let's see how talented I am, one-handed. Normally I have 2 hands, but I'm going to roll it like this. Okay, see what I would do normally with both hands is I roll from the center and then I tightly bring up the sides, okay? But it's still working here with one. Then I like to push these little guys in because they're kind of like out there by themselves, right? And I'm going for 4 pieces. That's how many I'm going to go for. So my little mat is very handy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, almost. Okay, so I'm going to roll all the way up to make sure the end is tucked. See, look at that. You can see that that is a part of the mat that didn't get oil because it started to stick. I like to take this little guy and I just go down like this just so that it's combined, right? Smooth it out. You got a little extra oil, you could do that too. Okay. I'm gonna give them a little smush. Smush. Now we have, let's see, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll keep it about there. I am now going to get my cutter. A knife totally works for this, but I have this cool little cutter deal. Make sure you put oil on whatever you're going to cut it with or it will stick, okay? So I'm going to go halfway point and I'm going to just slice down the middle and I'm going to kind of pull them apart and pull back, right? So you can see I obviously missed the middle point a little bit, but that's okay. Okay, so you can always smush them up. They're cinnamon rolls. I'm going to go middle point again-ish. Okay, and then when you've got one little guy, roll. I like to plop it this way, then plop it this way, because then it gets a little nice little shape there. Same with this. See how it's kind of like little edgy? I like to plop it this way, and then I like to plop it this way, and then I like to pick whichever is prettier. Okay, same here. These two are going to be a little bit smaller because I wasn't, you know, all that great at multitasking. But see your little frilled edges? They go away if you just kind of plop, plop. All right, so you can be as perfectionist or as not. You can tell this guy and this guy are a bit bigger than these two, but hey, it happens. Now, if you're going to do this at home and you don't have these cool containers, if you want, you can use like a cupcake tin, or you could just use like a 4x4, 8x8, literally whatever you would like. Just remember they are going to rise, they're going to expand, so make sure whatever you put them in, they have like room to do that, and they're going to grow the way you want, right? If you put them in too small of a tin, you're going to have this weird like eruption volcano once they've risen. Okay, they are here, they are ready, they're good to go. My oven is already been preheated and steaming. Now what? Now you can either put these into the oven, excuse me, not into the oven yet. You can put them into the refrigerator and cover them with some plastic wrap if you'd like, and let them basically slow rise in the refrigerator. If it's nighttime, you could do that, and then in the morning when you go to the fridge, they've risen, you can pull them out and then put them in the oven. Or you can set them on top of the oven or in a warm space to rise until you're ready, which is exactly what we are going to do, so we can finish the video for you. My oven actually gets pretty warm on top, so I just like to put them right here close to, this is my air vent up here, so I like to put them close there. So they're gonna sit here and rise, and I'll show you what they look like when they've risen. So just to give you an idea, this is when they have not risen yet. That one's still big. Remember, they're still rising technically right now because we put that hot water in there. So you can let them do this, and then they'll go into the oven, or you can put them into the fridge or the freezer, whatever you would like. So we're gonna let them rise, and I'll show you when they're ready. Okay guys, it's been, what, about 30-45 minutes, and they have risen up quite a bit. So, like, I mean, do you see how big that guy is now? Let's see if you can see it. Ignore my burnt pan. I play scientist, and sometimes things don't always go well. So they've risen quite a bit. They've come up, you know, several inches. So we're gonna kind of do a little poke test. See how it's starting to come back. We're almost at the point where it's getting close, right? So if you poke it and see how it kind of cracks, they're definitely ready. I got a little distracted. I had to handle some things. So you want them to basically like kind of touch it gently and just spring back. So see how that kind of springs back? So now we're gonna put them in the oven. We do have our little pie tin in there. I'm gonna put them down here, and my little pie tin actually looks to be out of water, so I'm gonna add some, and we're gonna bake them off. Okay guys, my timer was at 15 minutes. My oven runs a little bit hotter than 350, but this is really important. So you're gonna want to use a thermometer. You can bake them, you wanna bake them at 350 for, it depends on your oven, right, for about 20 minutes. Now your internal temp of these guys, you're gonna want to be at about 185. So we're gonna, ooh, look at how fluffy and glorious they look. Oops, don't be like me, use an oven mitt. Okay, so we're going to temp them. Boop. So you see that some of them kind of like cracked a little bit and whatnot, like this little guy. That is most likely because of the fact that they are in such like tiny little containers with so much cinnamon roll. So they're like trying to grow and expand, and then they're breaking. So, but remember, I just used this because I wanted to make it easy peasy for us. But otherwise, yours are going to like, they'll end up rising up and wide, and it'll look glorious. So it's looking like on the biggest one we have, we're at about 152. But on this guy, we're at about 183. So you're just gonna wanna make sure that you're gonna get them to, see if this guy hits it a different one. Yeah, this guy's still a little bit colder than the other ones. You wanna get to 185, just remember that. So I'm actually gonna give these guys about 5 more minutes, and then I'll probably pull them out. Okay, 5-minute timer just went off. Ooh, and now they're definitely golden. So let's see what we got here. Sorry, proper English. So what we're gonna wanna do is, if they're all the way up to temp, which I believe that they should be, we're gonna wanna pull them out, and we're gonna wanna let them rest. Oh, yep, we are good to go. So we are gonna pull them out and let them rest, meaning we're going to let them rest and cool, because they do have ingredients in them that need to set before you just dive into them. If you dive into them too early, the certain like gums and binding agents and things like that haven't set properly, and it's not gonna be the same. But they look pretty tasty and glorious, if you ask me. Again, in your different containers probably won't break, because they're gonna have so much more room to go wide and high and all of that. But I want to use up as many extra things as I have. So there you got it. Look at those delicious, glorious cinnamon rolls. Okay, we're gonna put just a little bit of smear of some cream cheese frosting on these guys. You can make whatever recipe you'd like. I can share one. Let me know in the comments if you guys would like me to share one with you. If you go to gfgalaxy.com, you can order the gluten-free, soy-free, corn-free, canola-free, nut-free, dairy-free, egg-free, vegan cream cheese, quote-unquote cream cheese frosting that they have on there. It's up to you. Do whatever it is that floats your boat, makes you happy. I don't like to put a whole ton on there. Trust me, some people want the whole bucket of frosting. That's so cool, I'm down. But it's up to you. So kind of just frost them, give them a nice little topping, and then you're good to go. Remember, you gotta let them set a little bit. You can totally throw these in your freezer, like For example, I live by myself, as I mentioned, so I don't eat 4 cinnamon rolls in one night, and I probably shouldn't have them on the counter because you never know. I might just be in like a cinnamon roll, eat my fillings mood, and that happens sometimes. So you can freeze them. They're wonderful. I always tell people fresh, never frozen, because gluten-free products, they just really, if you put them in the refrigerator, they tend to dry out. Actually, the vegetable crispers cycle through cold and try to keep veggies crisp. That's like the whole point. So freezers are actually meant to keep things with the moisture in. A lot of people always are like, well, when can I get fresh stuff? And I'm like, well, did you know that like pretty much every single item on the bread aisle is actually frozen? They just let it come to room temp in the back so that in your brain you just don't think about it. So FYI, fresh or frozen, never refrigerated. Oh my gosh, look at these gooey, delicious cinnamon rolls. Yum. Now, you know, like if you could see here, my frosting actually has more of like a tint almost to it. That is because I use a organic sugar, which is actually going to be a little bit of a darker sugar. And then also I make a house-made, scratch-made vegan cream cheese that is free of all of those things. And that cream cheese base is not like, we don't use any kind of bleaches or anything like that to whiten our frosting or whiten those things up. So anyway, they look delicious and I can't wait to eat one. I hope you guys followed along well. I hope I kept everything kind of in line. If you have any questions, please, you know, shoot us an email or leave them in the comments, and then check the links. I'm gonna put all the stuff I used in the links so that you can get it there. And then again, you can get the mix and the frosting and all of those things at gfgalaxy.com. And then I'm gonna do a video on, I've done one on the bread, on how to make gluten-free bread, and then I'm gonna do some more because I have a whole bunch of different recipes I wanna try out for you guys. So please hit the subscribe button for me. I only need a couple more and we can get our own dedicated link. And yeah, these are the tasty cinnamon rolls. I hope you get some and get to enjoy them, especially since Christmas is coming.